Donna Brazile was a dutiful soldier for the Democratic Party. In fact, she ran it. Now, a year after that party's election defeat, she is sticking a knife in Hillary Clinton. In a piece in Politico today, taken from her forthcoming book, Brazile describes how Clinton engineered a, quote, secret takeover of the Democratic National Committee. Brazile says Clinton's campaign was effectively funded by the DNC, even though it was supposed to preside neutrally, the DNC was, over the Democratic primary race. Tezlyn Figaro was a staffer for the Bernie campaign. She may have suspected something like this was going on. Now she knows for sure, and we couldn't resist getting her reaction to it. Tezlyn, great to see you. I remember months ago, a year ago, you said you believed something like this was afoot. How do you feel now that you know you were right?
Oh, you better believe what we said it a year ago, repeatedly over and over and over. And folks just like to pretend that we were asking them to believe in Santa Claus, as if we were just completely delusional when we've said over and over that the system was rigged. And this is, again, it's important to remember, Tucker, that I actually worked on the national campaign, traveled all over the country for 7 years. So I wasn't just sitting back on Twitter being a Twitter warrior or a Facebook bandit. These were things that we were actually seeing out in the field that we knew to be true. And so now that the chickens have finally come home to roost, like we're saying around here in Houston, it looks like she's earned history and did something that no other candidate has done through presidential elections. Not only did they give her the money, she gave the DNC the money to buy the cookies. She baked the cookies, bought the cookies, ate the cookies in the cookie jar, and it's pretty clear on who had control of the party. So me, Sanders supporters, and surrogates are all sitting around this evening saying, I told you so.
As a lifelong Democrat, how does it make you feel that your party, according to Donna Brazile, rigged a primary election?
I mean, it made me feel the same way that I did when I initially joined the campaign. You know, like you and I have talked before previously, I went to the independent side because I joined the Bernie Sanders campaign, not because I'm a socialist, because I'm not. I joined him because I wanted someone to speak up against the establishment. So it feels the same way that it did in 2008 and 2010 and 2012. And now this is just, we have the evidence to finally show what we've been talking about this entire time.
Kind of obvious, though, in retrospect. I mean, do you really think in a free and fair, open primary, of all the potential Democratic candidates, Hillary Clinton, who lost in 2008 in the same scenario, would have been chosen as the nominee?
You know, I think that the way it was set up with Bernie Sanders not having the name recognition that he did, that did hurt him in some respects.
Right.
But to look at people who didn't even know who Bernie Sanders was to now be, according to some polls, one of the most popular politicians in America, a lot of more ground could have been made. But, Tucker, we actually went, particularly in the South. I was a National Racial Justice Director, and we went to churches, we went to local communities that wouldn't even give us the time of day, not even an appointment to even share our platform. So I can't say what it would have been, whether he would have won the nomination or won the presidency. What I do know is that he did not receive a fair shot, just like the people who ran on the state level didn't receive a fair shot, that all the money was pulled to the Hillary Clinton campaign, in addition to the President Obama campaign. Donna Brazile was very clear. And we have to ask ourselves, why would Donna Brazile, a 30-year veteran in the game, turn on her establishment friends? I'm looking to see more that's going to come out of this scandal.
Well, she's coming on this show next week, and she'll tell us. I hope you'll be watching. Tezlyn Figaro, thanks a lot for coming on.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
I want to ask you one other question, Senator. We learned today from former Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Donna Brazile that the Clinton campaign, in her view, did rig the presidential nominating process by entering into an agreement to control day-to-day operations at the DNC. The Clinton campaign controlling the party's staffing, strategy, finances, communications, and that agreement was entered into in August 2015, a year before she defeated Senator Bernie Sanders. This must shock you.
Look, this is a real problem. But what we've got to do as Democrats now is we've got to hold this party accountable. When Tom Perez was first elected chair of the DNC, the very first conversation I had with him is to say, you have got to put together a Democratic Party in which everybody can have confidence that the party is working for Democrats rather than Democrats are working for the party. And he's being tested now. This is a test for Tom Perez. And either he's going to succeed by bringing Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders representatives into this process, and they're going to say it's fair, it works, we all believe it, or he's going to fail. And I very much hope he succeeds. I hope for Democrats everywhere. I hope for Bernie and for all of Bernie's supporters that he's going to succeed.
Very quickly, Senator, do you agree with the notion that it was rigged?
Yes.
All right. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Individual leaders of the DNC can support Hillary Clinton in any way they want, but they are not going to sabotage our campaign, one of the strongest grassroots campaigns in modern history.
I do believe that we have to replace the current Democratic National Committee leadership. Yeah, I know political parties need money, but it is more important that we have energy, that we have young people, that we have working class people who are going to participate in the political process.
There's no question to my mind, and I think no question to any objective observer's mind, that the DNC was supporting Hillary Clinton, was in opposition to our campaign.
So with me now to respond to this revelation, Jeff Weaver. He is the former campaign manager for the Bernie Sanders campaign. Jeff Weaver, welcome back.
Thanks, Brooke. Nice to be here.
All right, so as we heard, you guys all along there were raising the alarm bells throughout the campaign. Did you know the extent of this deal between Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC? Did you know the extent of that deal?
I don't think, Brooke, that we knew the full scope of the deal. Certainly, we did not know about the contractual control that the Clinton campaign had over, for instance, DNC hiring and being able to veto a certain staff. But it was certainly clear, however, that back as early as April, when we filed a protest with the DNC that Hillary Clinton and the DNC were engaged in a joint fundraising agreement that appeared, at least on its face, to be skirting federal election law and was highly improper, given that there was a contested primary going on. And I think, given that there is, as you may know, a Unity Reform Commission that is comprised of people appointed by Bernie Sanders, appointed by Hillary Clinton, that came out of the Democratic National Convention, that is now drafting a series of reforms for the party, it is important to move forward and to adopt those reforms, to open up the primary process, to deal with superdelegates, to deal with transparency, accountability, and democracy of the DNC. We have got to move forward, Brooke, and we have got to deal with these issues so that we can beat Trump in 2020.
I hear you on moving forward, but hang on, because we got to talk about what what happened. And Donna Brazile says, yes, while this was difficult news for her to learn, she says what they did was not illegal. Do you agree with that?
Well, it's not clear whether it's, I'm not going to get into the legality of it, but I will say this. It was quite courageous on Donna Brazile's part to bring these revelations to the public. I'm sure she has fallen off the Christmas card list of a number of people, but she is a courageous woman, and I do know, there was some, obviously a flap during the campaign regarding the debates and what have you, but I'm going to tell you this, that when Donna Brazile took over as interim chair at the DNC, she really did try to clean house there. She really did try to make it the type of party structure that all of us can be proud of. And I have to say that, the revelations that she released today, I think demonstrate the strength of her character and her willingness to go against the status quo, to make the party ultimately stronger. And that's the job we have ahead of us.
Had this deal, though, that's Donna. What about the country? Had this deal not been struck, Jeff, do you think that America might have seen a different outcome?
Well, Brooke, that's impossible to know, but as you remember, because you covered the race quite closely, there was time after time when the DNC interfered in the process. The debate schedule was rigged, the number of debates and when they were, that was certainly rigged. These joint fundraising agreements were improper and really looted the DNC and the state parties of funding. You'll remember in the clip you just showed when the chair of the DNC stripped us of the data that we had collected from with our own volunteers and for which we had paid the DNC $250,000. You'll remember the false charges that came out of the Nevada convention where the DNC chair was talking about chairs being thrown when, of course, no chairs were being thrown. So you had this pattern over and over and over again, and then the revelation that DNC top staff conspired to attack Senator Sanders on his religion, which is something that's a disgusting thing that should never happen in the Democratic Party. So, but I will tell you this, had the election been different, if Bernie Sanders had won the primary and caucus season, there is no doubt that he would have defeated Donald Trump.
Do you think that Hillary Clinton should apologize to Bernie Sanders because of this?
Well, look, I'm not really...
Yes or no, Jeff?
No, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to live in the past. This is not about apologies. This is about reform. There's a Unity Reform Commission. We will get unity through reform. And if we don't have reform, I don't think we'll have unity. And so I think there's a lot on the shoulders of the Unity Reform Commission, on the current chair of the party, and other party leaders to turn this into a grassroots party and not a party dominated by elites who are trying to rig the system behind the scenes. That's what we have to accomplish.
I'm hearing you, and I'm hearing words about unity and reform and beating Donald Trump, you know, in the next election. And I am frankly surprised. I mean, you gave your blood, sweat, and tears. We talked so many times during this campaign. I am frankly surprised that you are not angrier about this.
Oh, I'm angry, Brooke. There's no doubt about that I'm angry. But look, ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to love the country more than you love whatever personal slight or engaging in whatever personal slight's been leveled against you. And this, you know, look, the behavior the DNC engaged in was egregious, undemocratic, and it can't be allowed to happen again. But look, we cannot leave this country in the clutches of an administration that is not only incompetent, but that is targeting working families, people of color, LGBT community, women, and other marginalized communities. That is the goal ahead of us. But let me tell this to the elites who today still control much of the Democratic Party apparatus. If you do not open up the party, if you do not allow the people in, if you do not advocate for the types of reforms that we need, you will be destroying the opportunity we have to take on Donald Trump.
I have to tell you, you know, in prepping for the segment, we reached out to a lot of the, you know, Hillary Clinton campaign people. You know, Hillary Clinton, through a spokesperson, declined to comment. The former Clinton campaign manager, Robbie Mook, was part of that. And we also reached out to former DNC chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They haven't responded, you know, to us at all for comment whatsoever. Shocking. Okay. I feel the sarcasm all over your face. And just lastly, you know, I was at Bernie rallies. I talked to these young people, and I'm just wondering what is your message to young people? You know, you were talking to the elites within the Democratic Party, but what about your message to young people who are thinking, why bother go out and vote if the system is rigged?
Well, that's, you know, that is the problem when you have this type of behavior, that it helps destroy the faith that people have in the political process. But we live in a democracy, and I think what you saw with Bernie Sanders in the 2016 election, got 43% of the delegates, massive changes in the platform of the Democratic Party, and that was in an environment where it was rigged. Imagine if we can bring out more young people, if we can take back our party so that we can take back our country. That is possible, but people have to stay engaged. I understand that it's very easy to get discouraged, to try to back away from the political process, but now more than ever, people have to be engaged.
Okay, Jeff Weaver.